Upon a bitterly cold night in the middle of December, there was a tender knock upon my door, God midnight. The sound withdrew me from a deep slumber. I begrudgingly hauled myself to the door to have a look at who might be standing there, knocking God midnight, on such a bitter night. What I saw standing on my porch was a sight that I had not expected. Standing there were two children, one young girl, who appeared to be around the age of 6, and the other a young boy, who I would assume to be the older of the two, around the age of 13. I looked at them in pure horror. My brain could not understand why they would be outside on such a winter storm. They were only dressed in jeans and a hoodie, no gloves, hats or a coat. I had this sinking feeling in the depths of my stomach. "Please, could we use your phone to call our parents? We are so cold." A voice whimpered from the other side of the door, and I foolishly wrenched my door open. I looked down at these two children. I took note that not once have I seen their eyes. The hoodies which they had on had been covering their eyes. I cleared my throat. "Where are your parents?" I could hear my voice waver from fear. This is when both of the children seemingly lifted their gaze from the floor to meet mine. I almost cried out in sheer alarm. The eyes of the children. They were as black as a starless universe, like the iris had bled into the rest of the eyeball. When I didn't move or make a sound, this time the girl repeated their question about coming inside and using my phone. I began to step to the side and let them into my house. I tried to stop myself, but for some reason my limbs refused to cooperate with my brain, which was screaming at me to not let them in and slam the door shut. It was like looking into the children's eyes. They now had complete control over what I did. These children slowly began to enter my home. No sooner had they done this than the feeling of pure terror began to spread throughout my whole body. I was starting to shake. I led them both towards my phone that had been laying on the small table I had placed next to the armchair, upon which I was sleeping, before the children arrived upon my doorstep, begging to come inside. When I moved to reach for my phone, I noticed that one of these children was now standing behind me, with the most menacing look on their features. I believe that they could most likely smell, or at least taste my fear. It was almost paralyzing. I know it was. I took a moment to regain my composure. It felt like time had been slowed down, and I was moving in slow motion. Eventually, I faced the two children again. I handed the girl my phone, unlocked and opened the phone app ready for them to use to call their parents. I needed to escape for even just a second. With my voice trembling, I asked them both if they would like a hot chocolate. Once I made it into my small kitchen, hidden away from the living room, I took a second to compose my thoughts and turned to put the kettle on when the power went out. I just thought that maybe the storm had cut the power out. It has happened before. Not once did I think that these children might have done anything to do with this. But to be safe, I turned around just enough to look through the doorway into the living room to try and see if the children were still where I left them, which they were. This helped to prove my earlier thought that it was the storm which caused the power cut. During this time, I had completely forgotten about my girlfriend and dog who were asleep down the hallway. I was almost glad that they were not here to witness what was happening. You see, my girlfriend was big on all of this paranormal stuff. She just loved it. As I thought about this, I could hear my dog whimpering, which soon shifted to a snarl, which was unusual. My pup was normally a very quiet and gentle dog. She would never hurt a soul. I could hear movement from down the hall and in the living room. Sheer panic spread through my body. I only hoped that she would not come out of the room, for I have no clue what would happen if she did. This is when one of the children called out, "Our parents are here." With that, they both walked straight out of my front door. I quickly sprinted towards it. As I was about to slam the door shut, I decided to take a quick look outside, and that's when I saw two very tall, skinny figures at the end of my drive. I had never noticed them before, but I assumed that I might not have seen them because I was too busy worrying about the two children on my doorstep. The four figures got inside a black car and drove off into the night. The next morning I was exhausted, as after my encounter I could not fall back asleep. I was terrified that they would return. I told my girlfriend about my encounter that I had, and how I felt that I could not control my body during the whole encounter. She then told me that not only did she know exactly what was happening to me, but that last night, she had woken up with pure anxiety running through her body. She said that her blood ran cold for some reason. She had briefly mentioned in passing that she had a nosebleed the same night, which was what eventually woke her up in the first place. Eventually, my life carried on like normal. I haven't seen anything else from these children, but I am plagued with nightmares. I am now paranoid about the dark and having to leave the house in it, or even look out the window at night in fear of seeing those children again.